Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV Podcast 518.
Is that how old you are now?
According to one tournament director of this last weekend's event, he thought it'd be hilarious. Shocker. His humor was off, but he thought it'd be hilarious to announce to the world that I was turning 50.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
I guess in some regard was kind of funny because most people said, you don't look 50. And I'm like, because I'm not. But thank you.
You're not far off, though. It's not like I'll say, like,
I'm closer to 50 than 40.
You are just barely closer to 50 than 40. Clearly, I don't think I look close to 50. I don't think you look close to 50.
Yeah.
But 50 is such a different age these days than it was when we were kids.
Sure feels like it.
It sure feels like it. But it's not like you're a spring chicken either, though, Terry Miller.
I don't know.
I mean, you may feel that way.
Somebody at an establishment that may have had a few too many drinks, was pegging me at 34. So
that I could see.
So that I'll take. You got to take the small wins. Doesn't really matter.
Happy birthday anyway,
yeah,
Terry.
well,
happy
thank you.
Birthday.
It seems like year after year, these last 6, 7, 8 years, it's been falling right around the Ledgestone weekend. Mm-hmm. And being obviously the first week of August, most commonly. Also, sometimes goes back and forth right around National Disc Golf Day. And that one is the one that makes me feel really good. The National Disc Golf Day has been deemed the first Saturday of August for the last, again, 6, 7, 8 years. Maybe it's been 10 years since that campaign had officially become a thing. And so that feels pretty cool for the days that it does fall on it. And I think back specifically to one milestone-ish birthday of my 40th. It was the weekend I met Kyle Klein for the first time at an NADGT regional event in Crown Point, Indiana. And that was just 6 years ago. So to think of where...
14.
Yeah, to think of where he was at that time. I think he was 15.
Okay.
Where he was at that time in his career, truly an amateur, and had come in from Michigan to play in that event, to now what we're seeing him do just as recently as this weekend. That's certainly a memory, because I think about, where was I on my 40th? Yeah, I was meeting another superstar in the making, and that was Kyle Klein at the time. So anyway, thank you to everyone. I will say, the outpouring of love and kind words and the texts and the emails and the phone calls and the Facebooks and the Instagrams, whatever, Twitter, X, whatever. Thank you really, honestly, to everyone that so graciously wished me a happy birthday. And here's what else I told Holyn Handley. Not Holyn, excuse me, her good friend, Ella Hansen. She said, did you really not go down the slip and slide on your birthday on Sunday, even after we were chanting for you to do so? I said, yeah, I didn't. I said, let's just hope that's my biggest regret of my 46th year on the planet, is that I didn't go down that slip and slide.
Hopefully, you should have done the slip and slide. It looked like fun. Probably a nice hot day.
Yes.
Hitting that slip and slide.
Yeah, just knowing I had the rest of the afternoon and everything else to still do. Yeah, I regret it. I regret it. And like I said, hopefully that's the biggest regret I have of this next year around the sun. But nonetheless, a lot of fun over there. So tonight, getting to the real story, Holyn Handley, we're going to have her in just a little while. She's actually finishing up at the gym, she tells me, just recently. So whenever she's
That's what
ready
I tell
to go,
people too,
yeah,
all the time.
The problem is we believe her, not you.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little late. I just, hitting the gym.
Their computers go down again? Is that what they're asking?
Maybe.
So Holyn will join us and pop in probably at any given time, and then we'll be excited to talk to her. So with that, we can talk about some other things going on until she joins, but it will be very soon. So, all right, with that, you want to get right into it? Let's start with the boring MPO side.
Oh, my gosh.
We'll have our FPO champ on here shortly, but on the MPO side,
Gannon Burr.
What happened?
He wins.
Oh, yeah.
By 7 strokes.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't really close. Like, it
got close.
No, it didn't.
It got down to like 3,
4.
2. It got down to 2 or 3.
Well,
but
Gannon went into the final round
with a 6-stroke lead,
with a 6-stroke lead, and then I believe he gave away 3 to was it? I think it was Dickerson. I think he gave away 3 to Dickerson pretty much in the first 2 holes. And people kind of thought, well, maybe.
Yeah, so down to 3 at that point.
And then it was after that, there was like, you just never, I don't know. I never once felt like this was in danger on that final round. It just, the way Gannon's been playing and the way this course is, I don't feel like it sets up for a lot of big swings. Now there is OB and there is whatnot, but just with as solid of a player as Gannon has been over the last year, and even specifically the last month, it just didn't feel like there was going to be much. And then Gannon gets to the back 9 and just starts rattling off birdies. He birdies 9 of the last 10 holes.
That makes you hard to catch. That I'll give you. Like, we'll give some everybody a little sliver of hope.
Not so much.
Not so much.
I think someone said that a course record would have been shot by one of the top 2 guys just to give him a scare.
Yeah.
So that just wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. So Gannon Buhr, as I heard so much about this weekend, making the sport boring.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the new line. Gannon Buhr, he's just making this year
less
boring.
Interesting.
He just wins too easily. He wins too much. These are the things that I read over the weekend, that this event is just boring because Gannon's going to win it. And this was like before the final round. I heard this in like round 2.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, wow.
I mean, that goes hand in hand with Kristen obviously being the GOAT and she destroying FPO disc golf. And
I know.
It's no fun to even watch anymore because she wins everything. And
I can understand a little bit of burnout on the season. We just got through this really awesome European stretch. Everyone rushed over to Ledgestone. Ricky ended up stepping out due to a shoulder issue, which I hear he's now 100% on, which is good. He's excited to come back at Idlewild. But that is what I heard, was just Gannon. It's Gannon now pretty much versus everybody else, which isn't an outrageous statement at this point. The way he's playing, I don't quite see it that. I mean, I still see players like Ricky. Paul shot a 12 down that final round to kind of pop back up there into the top 10. And it just, even if it were Gannon versus the field these days, I love to watch greatness. Yeah. And if that's what this is, bring it on. I don't care if Gannon wins every event by 6 or 7 strokes. You are witnessing then one of the best years in history. So, man, bring it on, man. But either direction, we have Ezra Robinson coming in second place by a mere just a squeak of 7 strokes. He was right there up until the last hole. If Gannon just would have 12'd it, Ezra would have been right there to pounce on him. Third place, a tie between Chris Dickerson and Calvin Heimberg. Kevin Jones, a name we have not really spoken about on as far as scoring goes this season. He was in the news quite a bit for his prodigy to Innova switch, but not a name that we've heard. He's showing up at this event. He shot a 29 under par, 9 strokes behind Gannon, but a 5th place finish for Kevin.
Yeah, and coincidentally, a very similar finish to what Gannon had. I mean, it looks like when it was all said and done, he picked up like, I was going to say 10 birdies in the last 13 holes. So a very strong finish, struggling on the baseball field hole on hole 5. And then after that, pretty much birdies, for the remainder of the round. So very impressive to see.
Then we go 6th place tie between Isaac Robinson and the 15-year-old Kyle Klein. No, he's not 15 anymore. He was 15 when you were 40. And that's what Terry, you're always going to be 40 to me. So Kyle will always be 15 to me. Kyle Klein tied for 8th place between Paul Macbeth, as we stated, and Jakub Semerad, and a 10th place finish for Jake Ebenheimer,
who clearly was also right there in terms of having potentially a course record-setting round. He finished with 10 under. However, he bogeyed the 16th and he bogeyed the 18th. So no problem collecting birdies out there. And, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and everything else. And, if those bogeys just would have been birdies, whatever you want to say. However, the real point is top 10 with a 10 under, which turned out to be the second hottest round of all competitors.
Behind Paul.
Behind Paul's 12. Yeah. So pretty cool to see. So nice finish for him. And it looks like he fell off during a little bit. No, actually, he did move up a few spots. He had one bad round out there. Emerson Keith. And just put this in your back pocket.
Okay.
If Emerson Keith is playing Eureka, you should probably bet on it. Clearly, he came up short of winning this event, but I go back to the 2019 Worlds where he was very much a contender.
He does seem to have this course dialed.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
It's specifically this course, and Emerson Keith is a great player on a lot of different courses, but if there's one name that's where like, oh, he's been kind of quiet, and then all of a sudden this event or this course pops up, I feel like it's been Emerson Keith over the last few years. So whenever we get around to betting, which is a whole nother mess and another story for another day, when you have the chance to bet on Emerson Keith with something specific to this course, I feel like that's going to be a good bet in the future.
Line it up.
Mark the tape now, folks, here on August 6th of 2024, me saying that.
Yeah, so that's kind of your top 10 in MPO. The other MPO stories that were big this particular weekend, obviously the spotter issue where we saw on hole, was it 14?
16.
Was that 16? Was that?
That's 16, yep.
Was that late in the round? Yeah, hole 16 with Double G, who I didn't watch live a ton, but of all things, I did catch this part live. And Double G laid down a roller. It went to the left, out of bounds. It rolled out of bounds probably 70 feet. The spotter tried to, as distance-wise, not 70 feet out of bounds, but 70 feet along the OB. And the spotter was watching where it went out of bounds, and I think kind of got himself caught into a trap, so to speak, where by the time he spotted where it went out of bounds, he basically had about 2.5 seconds to make a move. Hesitated for a split second, and that was enough where he was done for. His last chance was to try to lift up a leg to hope it went under his leg, and it hits a divot in the ground and jumps up and slams him square in the chest.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate optics, I'll give that. I felt bad for the spotter. You could tell, even just by watching it, how bad the spotter felt. I believe Scott Stokely even did an interview with him yesterday or today, talking about how he feels bad about what happened. It sucks. It does. It sucks. I'm also coming at it from a different perspective of you were rolling in the out of bounds between two fairways where there's usually people lined up. You're taking a risk there as a player going anytime your disc leaves the inbounds area.
Yeah.
And this just, of course, being a spotter, we've had a lot of questionable things happen to discs while they're barely inbounds or even out of bounds over the last few years. It just unfortunately looked bad, but I don't blame the spotter too much, man. That's a tough spot. He did his job and he spotted where it went out of bounds. But by the time he got a good view on it, wah wah.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor this. It's already beat to death on like so many levels of everybody being, getting out their pitchforks, wanting to, go take this guy and, put a weight around him and throw him in the lake and everything else. It sucks. He of course feels bad. There's no doubt about that. Yes, he was there volunteering. I think he said he traveled more than 1,000 miles to volunteer for the few days. Yes, he was prepped. Yes, he knows about disc golf. Yes, he made a mistake and it was ultimately costly in that sense. But
it cost Double G about $200 in the long run. Double G was already having a really crud round. I think he was OB like 6 or 7 times. This just added one to it.
My biggest takeaway, and some of you weren't there for this, and so I know there's a whole lot of everybody that knows everything, but when I saw Double G interact with somebody on the night it had happened, which was Friday night, Saturday night, I don't even remember anymore, whatever night it happened, I saw him at one of the fly marts, and he was more pissed off that somebody brought it up and wanted to again rehash it.
Sure.
He was far more mad about that than the fact that it happened. And I think that is as big as Double G could possibly be about it. And the fact that the rest of the world is 100 times more worked up about it than literally the person it affected. To me, does it suck? Of course. I'm not trying to claim anything but that it did. However, let's move the F on. This guy.
It's not the first time it's happened. It's not going to be the last time it happens. And I have, again, my philosophy: the minute your disc leaves between the two ropes, fair game. I might even vote for spectators having the option just to kick them or grab them, kind of like a foul ball in baseball. If you can get it, it's yours.
Well,
no, maybe not that far, but it's you run the risk anytime you leave the inbounds area that anything weird could happen.
And even stuff inbounds can get weird. And golf's not a game of perfect. I think there's a book.
there's a book
titled that's actually more about mental strategy. But mentally, Double G is over it, so you should get the F over it as well. That's how I'll leave that. And we have much more exciting and positive things to talk about, and that includes our FPO division and ultimately our champion also handedly taking it down by 7 strokes. We're talking about Holyn Handley.
I see what you did there, Tara.
Welcome to the show, Holyn.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Holyn, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Ariel.
We're great.
Awesome.
And thank you. I did share earlier that you're on a routine. You're on a regimen. You're this big-time winner here. But talk to us about the routine that you're even in part of this week, leading into the very next Pro Tour stop. What's happening on a day like today for you?
Let's see. Yeah, today's Tuesday, so I got my first practice round in this morning, and then it was super hot, so there was really no point in going to the gym and getting showered and all of that until it got a little cooler. So yeah, I just got back from getting a workout in, showering, stopped to get some water at Walmart, and here we are.
I know you just referenced the heat. It was gross. I mean, somebody from Arkansas said it wasn't that bad, but it was gross this weekend. Is that a fair statement, or do you maybe not feel as bad because you were a little bit earlier in the day in terms of the play?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty hot, and it was definitely getting to some people. I know a couple of people had to DNF because of some heat exhaustion, and some others needed, cold packs and some help during the round to get through, and definitely affected their play a little bit. I feel like for me, I just spent the last 3 weeks in Oklahoma in being outside at least for a little bit in that heat, so I felt pretty acclimated to it.
Okay, yeah, and that's again fair. Someone was traveling to AM Worlds. I ran into her. I'd met her at U.S. Women's in Texas earlier in the year. And I said, "Oh, it's just gross out here." She's like, "Oh, I'm from Arkansas. This isn't that bad." I was like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't need to go to Arkansas then if you don't think this is." It was the humidity. It was like 80, 60, 70, 80, 90% humidity, and it just was, yeah. So nonetheless, you come out on top. Congratulations. One of the big topics of conversation from this weekend was a very different shift in course play, and that naturally is because of having the Champions Cup earlier this year. Now that it's said and done, you've played there twice, once for the Champions Cup and now once for this event. Do you have any feedback? Do you have any strong opinions or thoughts about how it had to get handled this year?
I would have preferred, I think, if we could have played a couple rounds at Northwood. I think that's just a little bit more interesting. I could definitely maybe see some people getting tired of seeing Sunset 4 rounds in a row because it is so open and a lot of the shots are kind of repeated. So I could see it getting a little monotonous. And I do think the 2 courses together are really complete tests of kind of all the skills required. So I prefer to play both, but I knew going into it that just playing Sunset was going to be great for my score. So,
you maybe a little less. What, like 1,005, 1,008, something like that this weekend?
I think it was 1,001.
1,001, okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Is it a little less and I think about this because of all the players coming back from Europe, just every division. Was it a little less mentally taxing, just the one course and one that is maybe a little bit more open? Is that a fair assessment, that it's took less mentally maybe overall?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you compare it out to Ledgestone normally, as we're having to prepare for Northwood Black. And normally, when we go into it, like I usually play one round at Sunset, and I focus most of my attention on Northwood Black because Sunset's like certainly not all of the holes are easy, but it's pretty obvious what you're supposed to do. It's pretty easy to find the line that works, whereas Northwood, I think, takes a little bit more time to dial in. But yeah, this time around, just, did the same thing, 2 practice rounds, 6 rounds total in a week is a lot at Sunset. I was kind of ready to be done with Sunset.
Well, and that was going to be my next question. Obviously, there's some hills out there. It's far from flat out on that property. How do you feel after a week? And really, honestly, add in maybe some Discraft responsibilities and sponsor responsibilities throughout the week. How do you feel after a week of Ledgestone?
I'm pretty good. Like I had 3 weeks off before, so I'm not like everybody who just came back from the European swing and is jet lagged and trying to recover from that. Like I came into this feeling very fresh. And at least one of the practice rounds, I had a golf cart. And then during all of the tournament play, I didn't have to carry my own bag. So relative to most people, I kind of had it easy.
What did you spend your off time? What did you spend your off time doing? You had 3 weeks off prepping for we'll say this. I want to say the second half of the season, but we're even a little bit further through than that through it. So what did you spend your off time doing?
I went, we were back in Oklahoma, but I drove down to Dallas for a little bit, saw some friends, visited my mom, went and played some pickleball with my mom, and mostly rested from disc golf. I did a little bit of practice of like some up shots and putting just to keep that sharp, but really I just wanted to kind of give my body and my mental just a little time to recover. And then I spent a lot of time working on my course, actually putting in 2 new fairways.
How far along? What is the overall update on what's going on out there for those that have no idea?
So in the off season, I built my own course on Tyler's family's land. They let me use about 70 acres, just kind of do whatever I wanted with it. And so I put that course in during the off season, and then my plan with it is to just like add lines and add alternate pins and tee pads to kind of continue to challenge myself in the off season. So I wanted to make a few more technical wooded shots that would kind of challenge my weaknesses. So kind of forward thinking into next year of what I feel like I need to work on.
Okay, well, that I guess answers and the next obvious follow-up question, which is like, where do you feel like your game can improve? What specific aspects or components of your game do you feel either weakest on or you want to sharpen?
I think just working with kind of the more really understable and more really overstable discs. I tend to stick with stuff that's pretty neutral and then stick to angles that are pretty close to flat, either a little bit of hyzer or a little bit of anhyzer. And so just trying to expand the angles that I'm comfortable working with. And then just getting more accurate and better at shot shaping the disc at the end of the flight. So a lot of times right now, like if I want a right finishing shot, I usually go to the forehand, but I want to also be able to accomplish the same thing with a backhand, because you never know, sometimes even though they're very similar, sometimes one is better than the other. But really just trying to have all of the tools and to feel equally comfortable with everything. But then continuing to like really, in the meantime, lean on those strengths actually in tournament.
I'll say, speaking of holes and maybe even strengths and challenges, this year there were a couple of minor, I think would be a fair word, minor changes out at Sunset. Is there any feedback, if Nate's listening or the rest of the tournament staff or the Sunset owners, is there any feedback of things either you really liked or disliked or things you just love to see, as that, assuming that course remains part of our overall tour?
Yeah, I thought the change on 7 was really good. That was probably the only design, like if you were going to make one design change, that would have been it, because you have this really nice technical fairway that no one ever used in the old pin position. Everyone would just hyzer around it, and you can still go that route. It's just a little bit harder to get there. I think if I were to see any changes, it would be maybe some new tee pads. Some of those are, they're kind of on the shorter side, and on the days where it was muddy, I have long legs, so, I'm having to take my first couple steps in the mud behind the tee pad. So I would like to see some longer tee pads.
Yeah, and it was funny because I think it was during even the St. Jude exhibition match we did on Wednesday. I walked to the old tee of 12, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh, this tee's not that great. It probably gets a little slick. I know it's always really close to the neighbor's house right there, and then I turn them. Oh wait, there's like a whole new beautiful brand new tee pad right here. So that's one that's already there, but I could see adjusting a few of these.
And that
others,
that one's about 2 or 3 feet longer than most of the other tee pads. So they know.
Maybe it's the new standard that they'll slowly or maybe quickly work into. Let's sidetrack totally different for a moment. Something new this year, which outside of you winning was probably the second biggest story, I feel like, the slip and slide Saturday and Sunday.
It was 2 days?
I noticed you partook, but very gingerly and cautiously, and I totally understand. But explain to the rest of the world how the slip and slide came about, or what you experienced.
Yeah, so we were actually at lunch, a big group of us with Seth, who runs that course for the tournament, and he was like, okay, if I set up a slip and slide, would you guys use it? Like, we want to get the winner going down the slip and slide. And I'm at lunch with Paige and Missy and Ella and Raven, and we're like, okay, the winner's probably at this table. There's good odds there. And we're all like, yeah, if we win, heck yeah, we'll go down the slip and slide. We'll go down the slip and slide anyway. And then, he set it up on Saturday. But I had already, on the first day of tournament in the warm-up, I kind of pulled something in my back, kind of my mid-back, just inside the shoulder blades. And so between that and then I've been having a little bit of elbow issues, I was like, I don't want to tweak anything. I've got a 4-stroke lead. I'm not trying to blow that with any kind of tweak, because your brain does weird things to you when you go into the final day on the lead card, where you're like, I'm wearing a different style of socks. What are you doing? That's not going to work. Weird stuff.
For sure.
And so I don't need to have a bruise on my wrist and think that that's a problem. So I was just like, I'll do it on the last day, regardless of how it goes. And then I only went down about 4 times, because I went down with Paige and Missy, and I kind of bonked into them a little bit. And I was like, all right, I think that's going to be my last one.
This is where, as fun as it is, the fun all too often can also lead to the disaster. And then the next thing you know, you're in a brace, or you're
Holyn
in
Handley
a cast.
out 4-6 with a weird ankle issue or something.
And it sucks, because we all want to have as much fun as possible, but you got a job to do at the same time. Maybe speak to anyone else. There was some wild times down that slide. Anyone specifically surprise or impress you with how crazy it got?
Yeah, I mean, Erica kept trying to go down on her feet.
Yes.
Yep.
And towards the end, she was making it about halfway to 2/3 of the way down, but then she would just thunk on her backside. And I think Raven was probably the best technique wise.
Yes, I agree.
She could shape a line going down. And then, I know multiple people, Ella, I think especially, were telling me they were very sore the next day. So I was like, see, it's good thing I didn't go. I don't want to be sore.
Yeah, okay. Wise old Holyn here knows what's going on. Cat merch, I know no one will be shocked by this. Definitely the most aggressive. She was all in. If there was anyone that was
full on sprinting. And
I was going to ask, how much of a run-up did she do?
I know both Raven and Ella definitely had a good time, but I think in terms of who had the most fun on it, it might have been Cat merch. But nonetheless, it was awesome to see. I think that's one of those things that can make it so much more endearing for our fans, and just watching you guys have such a good time. It was pretty cool. I also did get a very quick image of you after you had gone down on Sunday. Then you were making phone calls and in your own little victory world, as you should be. Who do you check in with? Who do you have conversations with in a moment like that?
The person that I was calling off to the side, that was my mom, and she hadn't watched yet.
Yeah, because I heard you say spoiler or no spoilers or something, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, she goes to church on Sundays, and the first time that she ever forgot her phone Like one time last year, she forgets her phone and doesn't know what's happening, and that was throw pink on the final day.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay.
And so I kind of joked that, maybe you shouldn't look on the final day if you decide to go to church and just leave your phone at home. But yeah, she hadn't checked yet. But I think she likes knowing the ending before she goes and watches because it's less stressful for her that way.
Yeah. We talk about as a fan, you're always you love that suspense, you love not knowing, and that's why we're watching live sports. But when you're
as a parent,
as close as you are, yes, as a mother, that is probably a totally different twist to it. So that makes sense. What does it feel like for your game right now as we're talking about Worlds just a week away or a week and a half, 2 weeks away? How's your game? How are you overall feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I mean, I practiced Idlewild today. I felt like I was hitting my lines really well, and feeling really confident. My elbow's starting to feel better, so I was able to throw some power sidearms. So I'll probably be very selective about when I choose to use those because there are just a few holes out here where it just makes things so much easier. But yeah, things are feeling good. The putt's feeling really good. The up shots are feeling really good, and usually that's the thing that's kind of the most variable for me. But yeah, I mean, really, it feels like my game's just been steadily getting better throughout the year. And I feel just like really comfortable with it right now.
Yeah, I feel like this is the time of season that we're starting to see that we have in the past seen injuries start to creep up on players. Are you doing anything special during the week to help mitigate that? Are you I know we kind of talked about your routine in general. Like, what does that look like on a full week basis? Today obviously was a workout and a round, but how else do you keep yourself in hopefully tip-top shape?
Yeah, I mean, I work out usually about twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And a lot of what I do is centered around like kind of building some resiliency and preventing injury. And I think part of why I'm having some elbow issues is I kind of fell off of some of that coming out of the West Coast swing and then got back into it while I was home. And so I've been seeing things like gradually get better. Like today was the best my elbows felt in like several weeks. So that was really nice. But yeah, doing that and then doing some extra just like band work to work on like the little muscles in my arm and strengthen them so that they're taking more of the impact from throwing than like ligaments and stuff like that. And then just getting tons of sleep. And then when I go do kind of outside fun stuff, keeping it to like pretty low impact, low fatiguing stuff. Like I'm probably not going kayaking or anything like anytime soon, anything like that. And then, yeah, like trying to be really efficient with my practice because, the more you practice, the more fatigued you get. And then that can actually have a negative impact come tournament time. So trying to keep it, usually it's like 2 rounds per course with an optional day to like go work on whatever little things I think I need to work on. And if I don't have much, I just putt and upshot and then mostly rest.
And speaking of this weekend, then you go from Sunset 4 rounds. Like you said, things are kind of obvious there. Very different track that we see over at Idlewild. Is there a trigger in your head that says, "Hey, I'm excited for this change up," or that style of course? What are kind of the mental feelings to switch gears so quickly to this course?
I mean, I really love Idlewild. I think it's one of my favorite courses, so that helps. And I generally prefer more technical courses, even though I probably on average score better on the more open courses. But yeah, I think that's an important thing just going into every event, like kind of regardless if it's your favorite course or not, you have to just kind of tell yourself it's your favorite course that week. Because I find if I'm excited to play, that's usually when I play my best.
Something I just happened to notice, and maybe it was talked about on the broadcast, I'm not sure, but per PDGA, and this is a little skewed because it includes, I'm assuming, things like the All-Star Weekend and some of those weird stats or those kind of exhibition matchups and such, but did you realize that you've played exactly 100 events now within the PDGA?
No, I didn't.
I just saw that now. Shows you with 27 wins, 100 events, a 982 rating, and then 137,000 in earnings. Not to totally rehash it, but you just came out of the scene a few years ago. This is a very short time frame from when I met you in 2020 to what you're doing here in 2024. You come in, I think, as the 3rd highest rated woman in this event this weekend. Speak to being a 982 rated player, and then maybe more importantly, being a threat at every tournament you enter now.
Yeah, I mean, this year especially, a lot of my focus has been more on like the kind of game planning side of things, and then the mental and the confidence side of things, because I think it gets talked about like so hand wavy, like mental game of like, oh, I throw it really well, but my mental game's trash, or like I just need to get better at the mental game, and no one ever really explains what that is, because I feel like I've been watch someone like Kristen who's got an amazing mental game, but like what it looks like versus what it feels like, and what I actually need to do to get myself to look like that. And so that's kind of what the journey has been this year. And I've had a lot of tournaments where I figured out the way not to do it. But I think that's helped me kind of starting to zero in on like what I need to do mentally to play my best. And then also like on the game planning side of things, like what are my strengths? How can I break down every course to really lean heavily on those strengths, even though at the same time I am working on other stuff to like, bring up these other shot shapes that I don't throw as much. But yeah, it is crazy. I just posted like not that long ago of like kind of a form progression video over the last almost 5 years now that I've been playing. And yeah, it's been a lot. I mean, and then this last like year and a half, I really haven't worked on form stuff. So I've been able to kind of start to just really refine specific shots and play more based on feel and make adjustments more based on feel. And I think that's kind of brought like the floor has increased. I feel like the ceiling's kind of where it is, but the floor's come up. So like when I'm playing bad, it's not that bad. And I think that's how you get to that 982 number, I think, is like, yeah, you're getting the 1,000 rated rounds, but when you play bad, it's only like 970.
Well, and I'll add to that, again, just looking at some of your stats, you have to go all the way back basically to March, the end of March or beginning of April, and you've only finished in that time frame since, we'll say, April 1st, you've only finished outside the top 5 one time, and that was at Champions Cup at the very challenging Northwood course, where you took 10th, but you've only finished outside the top 5 once since April. And really only 4 times the whole year, but really once since April. I mean, I know you know this, but since May,
I don't know. We had her on for a whole stats competition. She wasn't that great. She may not know this.
Okay, well,
what
since
are you
May,
talking about? I beat Ella. That's all that matters.
I know.
Since May, though, real quick, Dynamic Disc Open 4th, then you took 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 5th, 1st. I mean, that's as consistent as you get, and pretty damn impressive. And it's got to feel good.
Yeah, definitely. I think another kind of key thing has been like usually when I have like at Champions Cup, I finished 10th. I was throwing great, but my putt was just gone that weekend. And then like earlier in some of the, I think it was Texas State's, like I was putting fine and throwing my backhand fine, but my like sidearm was just gone that weekend.
Sure.
And so I think I'm doing a better job of like noticing when something's like a tiny bit off, but not really a problem yet, and kind of fixing it before it becomes a problem. So like noticing like I'm not missing putts yet, but the putter's not leaving my hand exactly the way it normally does. So let's spend like 30 minutes figuring it out and getting it back to normal. And then I don't have random rounds where I'm just like airballing it from 20 feet. And the same thing with like up shots, noticing that like, oh, I'm not putting it to 5 feet, I'm putting it to 20 feet. So let's go work on that before I'm putting it to 40 feet and it becomes a problem.
You talked earlier about mental game, and it's been, I think, one of the criticisms of your game in general is kind of keeping it together for an entire event. How do you work on that? Because I feel like that is something that happens in the moment. Like you can't go out to a course, practice your up shots, and like, all right,
I'm going to be
time to practice my mental game, like just and sit and think about it. It just doesn't work. How do you work on your mental game, and what have you found for you that seems to help?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, I think, just kind of observing what I'm thinking and feeling in the rounds where I'm playing really well and in the rounds where it kind of falls apart. And then trying to figure out, okay, well, when it's starting to fall apart, how can I try to get myself to be closer to when I'm playing well? And like, I think it's different for every player, because some players are very kind of just quiet, stoic all the time. Other players are a little bit more emotional and like kind of momentum players. And I think I lean kind of towards more towards that. Like if I need to celebrate my little victories in order to like build and maintain my confidence, especially in the final round, because I think it's a little easier to do early in the tournament. Because if I do have a slow spell, I can kind of tell myself I'll make it up later, and I've got plenty of like, history to show that I'm very capable of doing that. But on the last day, it's hard to believe that when, okay, we only have 12 holes, we'll have 9, we'll have 6, you're starting to run out of holes. But yeah, just trying to like celebrate my little victories, learn what I can from the mistakes, and then just let them go. I think my tendency has always been to be very hard on myself, and there's definitely a time and a place for that. But like realistically, at the end of a bad round, it probably takes 10 or 15 minutes to go through my mistakes and learn what I need to learn. And then anything beyond that is actually not helpful at all. And so it'll be try to learn from those mistakes, let them go, and then really focus in on what I did well and what I like about my game, and just like loving my game more than anyone else's, loving the way that I throw, the way that I putt, and all of that. And then just like kind of telling myself really positive things throughout the round, especially on that final day. Like I was telling myself all kinds of positive stuff, like from the get-go at the final day of Ledgestone. I mean, my first putt was like 15 feet. It wasn't anything special. And I gave myself like a little fist bump just because I was excited to get the first one in the basket. And just like, I think in the past I would have tried to bring myself back to earth whenever something really good happens. But I kind of learned this at Beaver is like, if something really good happens, just roll with it. And like, or even all the way back to Jonesboro, I think my second round at Jonesboro, I started off really hot and I was like, I'm just not going to bring myself back to earth today. I'm just going to like let myself believe that I'm invincible and it's my day. And I finished like 10 down and then had a pretty good third day. I ended up getting second. So that was kind of a little indicator that like leaning into the good things and like not bringing myself back to baseline, just lean into it, let myself be excited for the good things is really important for me.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that it really does feel like you have a lot of self-talk, and lately it's been very positive self-talk, like even to the point of talking to the cameras after a great shot, and like yeah, that's right, this is how I'm going to do it, and then walking away. It really does feel like that that your best is when you are definitely, I mean, you could probably say this about anybody, but really feeling positive and really expressing that, as opposed to trying to pull, we'll say like a Calvin Heimberg and just steady.
Yeah, I'm not a Calvin Heimberg. I'm just not,
No.
and that's fine.
There's very few like them. As a kid say, if you're cooking, you just keep on doing it. This turned out to be, if my quick research, again, I don't trust it, but I believe this is the second largest paycheck that you've ever gotten.
Yeah, I think Throw Pink was the largest.
Yeah, 12,500 for Throw Pink. This was 9,000. So I believe this was the second largest that you've ever received. I always ask this, but I love it. Where's the treat? Where's the splurge? What's something you may not have done this week or in the upcoming few days that you wouldn't have done if you didn't win? Where's the splurge?
I mean, I did buy lunch for everybody who went out to lunch with me after the round. So
okay, I like it.
A little something.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I haven't really spent money on anything else. It's really just been like get to Idlewild and get started for the next one. So there hasn't been an opportunity, I guess.
Okay, I was gonna say, will there be the new pair of shoes you've been putting off, or the new whatever? There's nothing like that you're concerned about splurging or treating yourself to.
No, not really.
Okay.
Maybe in the off season when I've got a little extra.
A new fairway on one of the holes that
yeah.
Like, man, I get to rent the brush hog for an extra few days. Yeah.
That's right. I won't manually cut these trees down. We'll use one of the automated tools.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. I know sometimes that's how people treat or reward themselves, and you fall into a little extra with that. And I'm hoping or assuming there's some very legitimate Discraft bonus probably on top of that, and maybe some other sponsor bonuses on top of that. Naturally, you have an event that has roughly 2,400 total people, with 6, 8, 10, 20 courses. I don't even know what we're in play this year. And if you're talking about all of the AMs and all the other professional divisions inclusive, 2,400 total competitors was roughly the number. Naturally, immediately everybody loves to go to like the most negative first thing they can possibly point out or rip on. But do you have any feedback, any positive or negative, of things that you think? I know you said what you did about Sunset and a few changes specifically. Is there anything else about the course or the week or the experience that is Ledgestone? That might not just be your FPO experience, but the experience of Ledgestone. Is there any big takeaways, positive or negative, that you'd like to see or bring up?
I mean, I thought Sunset was run very well. I mean, all the OB lines were very crisp. There was, I don't really have too much other than maybe like some longer tee pads on that end of things. I did feel it was kind of a bummer that some of the divisions of the AM divisions weren't really able to come watch us because they had tee times at the same time. Because I noticed all of the days, like Chase Card had a bigger gallery than Lead Card. And then chatting with people at the Fly Mart, it was because they got there early. They could only watch early and they had to go make tee times, especially some of the other female divisions weren't able to come watch the FPO. So that was a little bit of a bummer. And it seems like, I mean, it makes sense that Eureka Lake's going to have all of the vending and stuff there, but there's like nothing at Sunset. So it's like kind of no shock that most of the crowd is going to be elsewhere.
Yeah, and I suppose it makes it tough because a lot of the people who are going to come and watch are going to come and play now. That's where a majority of our spectators come from. They're disc golfers, and if you give them an opportunity to play, a lot of them are going to take that opportunity to play as opposed to watch. So it's something to think about, especially for this type of event where you have, like, we saw this with maybe like a DDO where you had all these people come and play, but not have any time to watch. And I don't know if that's I guess that's a Pro Tour question of whether or not that's something they care about.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about tourism. You're talking about all the things that go into it, and you wanting to have so many people. And naturally, some would say, well, if they were separate weekends, but you're not going to get some of these people to come back. Some people want to play, and anyway.
I don't know what the solution is, but that's what I noticed.
No, and I think that's
we're not a solutions podcast, Alan. Trust me.
No, but that's a very astute observation, right? Is that you recognize that there's just, generally speaking, there's obviously time conflicts out there. I mean, even some of our players, whether it was in the afternoon specifically, I saw like an AB or a Paul who had, we'll say, autograph obligations at the Fly Mart. They were literally on the course when the Fly Mart started. So, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, and I don't know if there's perfect solutions for a lot of those types of things. But, I think that's right. I think one of the bigger challenges, too, is Sunset is significantly more south than, a lot of those other courses. And by a good 30 minutes, that's south of Eureka. And so, again, geographically, there's a challenge there. I don't know how it's overcome, but that's one of the challenges. Okay. Holyn, we don't want to keep you late. We know you're on a routine, and whatever your routine is, we're not going to mess with it because you're kicking some ass this year, and we love it. Before we let you go, though, is there anything you'd like to share or anyone you want to thank or whatever? The floor is yours, or sponsors, or whomever. Anything you want to say or speak your mind about, we'd love to hear it.
I mean, I don't have too much, but I will say thank you to everyone who's bought a disc from me so far this year off teamdiscraft.com or off of Flight Factory. We've had a lot of cool drops. We had a really cool drop at Ledgestone that'll be up next week. And then, I mean, always thank you to the sponsors. We've got 6 of them now, so it's like getting hard to remember all of them.
I know.
You just got a new sponsor, didn't you?
You were working on it on stage.
I know. On stage, I'm just like...
Just write them on your hand. I mean, just always just write them.
Do that. I got them all out. I was honestly, I went and like tossed some free discs to the crowd, and I was a little bit more concerned with pulling that off. I didn't really give too much thought to what I was actually going to say.
All right. Well, list all your sponsors if you don't have them on your hand, but list all your sponsors again. We want to recognize them.
We've got Discraft, Throjo's, Squatch, Zuka is the newest one, and then Wander and Flight Factory.
Awesome. Very cool. Holyn, it's been awesome, obviously, watching most of your career so far right in front of my eyes. And it was so cool to see you do what you did. Obviously, Throw Pink was a big moment last year, but then watching how you've continued so much of that momentum here into this season. Like I said, certainly a threat at every single event so far this year. And looking forward to you having a great weekend this weekend. And then next thing you know, World Championship right around the corner.
2 weeks.
Yep. Should be fun.
All right, everyone. That's Holyn Handley, your champion this weekend at the Ledgestone Open. Go get some rest. Stay fully hydrated, as you know, for this weekend. And we wish you the best over at the LWS Open. Best of luck to you. Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
Thank
Holyn.
you. Bye.
See ya.
That's our guest, Holyn Handley. Terry, I was going to ask this to Holyn, but it never really came up. What Olympic sport do you think Holyn would be best at?
Most?
No, you have to pick one.
I mean, well, she has some background in powerlifting.
True. There.
So that seems all too obvious.
Okay.
You'd have to assume volleyball.
Yeah.
Volleyball, ties.
I think I'd probably put her in volleyball over powerlifting. I mean, I know she's a former professional powerlifter, but
we'll see how much time she wants to prep. But I mean, I think you'd want her on your basketball team. I think I would just have to. I don't know what her background is in ever touching, the old boring golf, the stick golf. But I'd have to assume she could.
She could pick it up.
She's probably good at that.
There's no Olympic
javelin.
Yet. Maybe discus.
Discus. Those seem obvious. Hurdles.
Maybe.
I don't know if she's a sprinter or a long runner, but probably one of the two. I mean, I hate to say it, this is kind of an easy one. I can't see many sports where I don't think, given the time, where she doesn't excel. She's probably a good swimmer for all we know.
Probably.
So maybe she could take down that Ledecky girl.
No, probably not.
Okay. All right. Well, we found her ceiling.
Maybe second place. Still
some silvers. But yes, awesome. And even to hear her, kind of working through her routine and what she does here during the season and, what she's following in her regimen and everything else. I think that was some great insight is hearing that too.
And the work she does obviously on her mental game and how she, discovering what works best for her mental game. Because I think that is, a lot of players can get good physically. It takes another level to understand how you are good on the course mentally. Yeah. It really is difficult because, as we said, it's something that's very difficult to practice until it happens.
Yeah.
So
and some people are clearly built with that, with the, inside, and some definitely aren't.
Let's go over some of the other results for the FPO at the Discraft Ledgestone Open. Second place behind Holyn Handley, a name we haven't mentioned too much this season, Lisa Fakis. Lisa Fakis shooting 1,003 final round, tying Holyn's final round at 8 under. But she, as we said, she did lose by 7 strokes. But second place is nothing to turn your head at.
No, and a separate shout out to interrupt there. Lisa Fakis putting on that clinic in round 3. She had a 89 foot, a 91 foot, and 121 foot throw in. Yeah, and that's the funny part is, she's been a good putter, that's for sure, and that's definitely what kind of made her initial mark. I feel like more than anything around 2017 when we saw her come into the scene in a more serious capacity. But these were even beyond that in that she was throwing in from so far, and the fact that she did it in 3 out of 4 holes is where she had done it. I think is just absolutely insane. Go to round 3, and it was hole 9 from 78, hole 11 from 92, and hole 12 from 121. So
that ain't too shabby.
Yeah. Those 3 in particular, you're like, you want to talk about blackout mode or whatever, out of body experience.
And the basket looks so big.
The basket looks as big as the lake that you're throwing toward. And hitting it was incredible. So it was awesome to see for sure out there. Like you said, Lisa, Hasn't been as much of a contender, this year in terms of going for the top spots, but to bust out on a weekend like this, to prove and to show to everyone, like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still can do my thing. It was pretty awesome.
It's almost unfortunate because she went only 1 for 7 C2 because 3 of them were too far out.
Yes.
So that breaks her stats. You're like, oh, she only hit 1 of the 7 opportunities she had. No, she had 10 opportunities and hit 4 of them.
Yes.
Amazing. Absolutely. And then she went 3 for 7 in C2 on the final day. So clearly her putting is feeling really good right now.
Yeah.
Tied with Lisa Fakis for second place was Haley King. Haley King shooting a 22 under par as well. Ella Hansen in 4th place. 5th place, Owen Scoggins. A course I would have expected Owen to maybe perform a little bit better at overall.
Yeah, it was really her final. Didn't she start the day in second, if I recall?
Well, I mean, she shot a 4 down that final round.
Yeah, I feel like she started the day in second. I got to click on the right thing.
It was her second round where she only shot a 2 down. That really started to knock her down. Then she comes back with a 7, and unfortunately,
because we often want to write her off and say, oh, she can't win on these really big long courses.
That's not what this is,
a ledge, or whether that's a toboggan or some of these super long courses. And to your point, you get to a course like this, you're like, oh, it's going to be really tough to get past Owen on such a scoreable track, and she just wasn't quite as dialed as what you would expect from her.
Wasn't her weekend. So Owen Scoggins in 5th place, tie for 6th place, Paige Pierce and Missy Gannon. Paige starting to creep up that leaderboard more frequently. Good to see. If she can kind of just get her putting and driving together on the same weekend, she's going to definitely be a danger. So she's got 2 weeks to dial it in before Worlds. Tied with Missy Gannon, I think I said. 8th place, another regular we're seeing up here, Emily Weatherman, shooting 17 under par. 9th place, Stacey Ronsley, and 10th place, Eliezra Midling.
I think about just so many flashes of the different storylines, and Emily being one of those, of course, as of lately, and picking up the victory she did not long ago. And then to see her again in conversation, at some point you're going to be like, oh, she's outside of the top 10, and that's going to be a shock to us. So obviously trending in the right direction. Rebecca Cox, I know at some point this weekend, and she's been playing pretty well lately.
Yeah, she's been a top 10
specifically,
regular.
As of lately, and then ultimately finished in a tie for 14th. But as part of the conversation, Stacey Ronsley similarly having a really solid weekend and being in that conversation. So. Yeah, lots of different stories.
Yeah, Stacey coming off the win at Casey Wide Open? Did she just win that?
Lisa did.
Oh, Lisa. Oh, that's right.
Lisa did.
Okay, you're right. Yep.
I was in another country. What do I know?
I know you were.
But
You're
I'm pretty
right.
sure that. Yeah, it was Lisa.
Yep, you're right. It was Lisa.
And I was going to say Stacey might have. No, Owen finished second there. Rebecca Cox, Hannah Wynn, and then Vanessa Van Dyken. But anyway, so yeah, awesome. I fully understand. And one of the questions that just came in off the board is, it's a fair one because of where we've been set up for these last few years, that we've been seeing multiple courses that obviously get played over the duration of this 4-round event. That wasn't possible this year. That was essentially a compromise that the event had to make in terms of having the Champions Cup come specifically to Peoria a few months ago, was that we wouldn't be seeing the same courses during that major that we're seeing during this particular event. You could poll, I don't know how many total players there were, probably 250, whatever the number is, or so, between FPO and MPO, combine them all together and say, how many of you liked playing one course all weekend?
I bet you there's only 10 people in that whole...
I think it's less than 10. Of course.
I just assume there's 10 people out there that hate Northwood Black because it's beat them up.
That's possible. But, so no, it wasn't ideal. There was no player that was really probably excited to play any one course over the 4 rounds. It was, dare I say, more logistical than anything. That was kind of the official compromise that had to happen in order for Champions Cup to come to town and for this to happen. I don't. We're not kidding anybody. We're not, carrying water for anyone and saying, yeah, that was really
Northwood
ideal.
Black
Of
used
course it wasn't.
on the other side of the event, the AM side of the event?
Yes, which is a whole nother story that we can get to. But yes, it got used, which plenty of people, and I'll say this, plenty of people were probably screaming, F yeah, I get to go play Northwood now.
Yes.
Because that's always one of the number one complaints is, well, I played this event, but I didn't get to play the same course that the pros did. Well, that guess what? Throw that in your in your mixer this weekend and get every possible response, and then just pour it out and drink that sloppy mess. Because I saw everything from I'm super excited I get to play Northwood Black or get to play Northwood because that's where I should play, all the way to oh my God, I'm crying. They should have never played me there.
That's how I would have probably felt.
There's everything in between. Like at one point, I think I even made the comment. I know Nora, who won FA 40, she told me the night before the tournament, she said, I'm playing Northwood Blue. I'm like, really? FA 40 is playing. I don't know the blue layout that great, but that seems like a real challenge.
Regardless of what the T's are, when you say Northwood, it's going to be a tough challenge.
Just immediately I thought, wow, that sounds really tough. Okay. There's 10 courses or whatever the number is, and there's 1,000 divisions and 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. I don't do that math as to who should or shouldn't play anywhere. My hunch said that seemed like that was going to be crazy, but then again, if you think about it, it's usually your best players your best players within any given division. The top MA1 guy was probably ecstatic to go play Northwood.
Probably.
The highest rated or top 5 MA1 players were probably out of their minds ecstatic to go play it because they knew that's where they were going to excel or had the highest likelihood of excelling. You're on the bottom of the MA1 pool. You're like, why are we playing here? This is so out of our...
Yeah.
So it's so subjective. There will forever be a million differing agendas and opinions as to who should have played where, some of which I may or may not agree with, and some of the math is just the math. I can't speak to it. I just know when I heard FA 40 playing that one round, I was like, that seems tough, but I also didn't go do a deep dive as to what projected scores.
And Northwood Blue and what...
Sure. So, but that was definitely a point of conversation. That's the whole reason why I'm kind of rambling about this all is, again, go look at all the math and all the numbers, and you're going to find plenty of people that love the courses that they played and plenty of people that are going to say, I wish I played this course. I wish I played that course. Or, this course was fine, but I really like this other one instead. Well, it's math. I can only say so much. So I know that was a conversation piece within the courses and those decisions. But no, the only other silver lining that I potentially proposed, and a couple people seemingly got on board with it, is just like Holyn said. There were a lot of people that came back from a very lengthy Europe swing, whether it was 1.5 weeks or 3.5 weeks. They came back from Europe. The idea of landing on Monday, having essentially Tuesday and Wednesday to recover, recoup, and practice after jet lag, and then play a 4-round event, they probably weren't as upset as they could have been, just saying, hey, I just have one course to practice
we said this
and
last
one course
week.
to play. And I can back that up. I said it last week. Yeah. I talked to a few players, and they're like, yeah, I'd like to play Northwood Black, but just playing one course, like...
Mm-hmm. And a course that doesn't, like Holyn said, either side, on Eureka or Sunset, doesn't require as much mental stamina that Northwood Black does.
So...
Now, I mean, I think there's a discussion point of scheduling and the Europe swing versus this. And, this being a DGBT Plus event, would it have mattered if this was just a DGBT regular event and not a Plus? Because this is technically worth 1.5, 150%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And it's 4 days, and then therefore starts on a Thursday versus a Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a very valid question there. about the overall scheduling and is there a way that even gets manipulated? But again, you're talking about
sometimes things just fall on weekends.
There's only so many weekends. Exactly.
You can't do anything. And I'm a proponent of having something every weekend and letting players decide what they want to play.
Sure.
There's no reason that anyone had to play the European Festival, and there's no reason everyone had to play Ledgestone.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
it's tough to turn down a plus event with extra money.
Now you flip-flop weekends of Idlewild in this. Maybe you have a different story, but it's really up to the player, I feel, at this point to make sure that they are in the best condition that they are. I mean, we've seen it with Calvin taking weeks off. Ricky, who kind of slightly due to injury took this week off.
Yeah.
But I think, again, we should see it more and more and more.
Yeah, and I know we'll quickly jump into that. Ricky had made a post. He got in late Monday night, and at that point, I think had every intention of still playing Ledgestone. At least when I talked to him 12 hours earlier at the airport, he had every intention. And when he got back, he talked it over with his caddy, with Fern, and there was a conversation about whether I'm sore or something needs to be rested or should maybe be rested. And ultimately made that very, very last moment decision to not compete at Ledgestone this previous weekend. And I applaud him. Like, nobody knows Ricky's body better than Ricky. And he wants to set himself up for Idlewild this weekend. And obviously, most importantly, the World Championship right around the corner. And like you just said, players have to decide. They can do what they can do.
It's their decision.
Everybody wants to see golf every single weekend, and if we're going to offer it, that means once in a while some players aren't going to be in some places. And so totally understandable. And yes, Rick is scheduled to play this weekend. We talked about that last week, that LWS and the accounting / PR firm, LWS and Dynamic are specifically his two biggest sponsors.
Yeah.
Not that he has to play, but if he's more inclined to play any event, you would think it'd be the one with his two biggest sponsors.
Yeah, regardless of it, whether he was going to play or not, he was going to be there. I know that. But he did say, I believe in an Instagram post today, how he's feeling good. He's at 100%. He literally used the term 100%. So I'm expecting, good old standard Ricky out on that course this week over at Idlewild.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about one other event that happened this weekend. It was a DGBT Silver event, which means it's overseas. So it was over in Stockholm, Sweden. It was the Järva Tuni 2024. Winning this one was Juna Heinonen, shooting 24 under par, 5 strokes better than Jonas Alto. Third place, Daniel Davidson. And a tie for fourth place between Lenny K and Hjalmar Fredriksson. That was your MPO. Going down over to FPO, you've got Sophia Bjorkel is what I'm going to go with. On that one, she wins by 4 strokes over Ida Nesse.
Yeah, congrats. You see Juliana Korver. They're in a tie for 7th. Both her and Jim Oates were competing overseas. So pretty cool to see them over there as competitors, obviously doing some media work during her leg or her trip over there, but now able to put the bag on and head out and play some golf. So very cool. Congrats. And congrats to, the Toonie as an event really modeled themselves after, and it was the whole reason I know
that's the only reason I brought that up, because I know you're familiar.
Yeah, with and I was granted the incredible opportunity to be part of it back in 2018 or 2019 for my first time, and the Toonie had been a very big successful event, and they were continuing to kind of model themselves after what is present day Dynamic Disc Open, or previously known as the Glassblown Open, and very similarly to what we're seeing at Ledgestone. Lots of courses, tons of events going on in terms of flex starts and extracurriculars, whether it's ice cream socials or clinics or demos or disc dyeing demonstrations, and some obviously some great golf, but just really making it one of the largest scale events in the world and in the country at the time. So awesome to see how things continue to roll over there at the Toonie. So love it. All right. Do we have any other? I kind of hinted at it. I'm not going to belabor it because everybody else can whine in every other capacity that they want. I've already alluded to it. Yeah, there certainly was some conversation about some of the major or minor shortcomings that you want to point out to the event. I do think that you're talking about an event of that scale and that size and magnitude. That's never to make an excuse for a challenge or somewhere where you fall short. And I feel like as much as possible, people will hopefully make adjustments, because that's all you can really ask for, is if you come up short in some capacity, or you don't provide, or whatever the case might be, or you haven't met an expectation, that you turn around and do your best to rectify it and move forward, and you learn and you grow from there. I know we already talked about the spotter situation, and I don't know if there's really much more that I can add onto that. I will say, I saw, as technically part of the staff.
Yep, you were not working for the DGPT.
I was not working for DGPT. However, I saw as a staff member an email that went from the DGPT over to the staff of the event. And there were a lot of praise and accolades in a lot of ways in which previous challenges were addressed or fixed or rectified, or just were already above and beyond. And I read that, and then that's what maybe sometimes makes it so difficult to go online to see so much vitriol. And I'm not suggesting that a challenge or a shortcoming should get not addressed or swept under the rug. I'm not trying to carry water for mistakes or anything of that nature. However, it's like everything else. I think it's about how it's presented. And there are ways that can be far more constructive, rather than just how loud can I possibly scream and beat my chest about this, and then, continue to perpetuate it and let it snowball from there. So, but what I saw was a lot of positive feedback that went from the Disc Golf Pro Tour boots on the ground and eyes and ears to then how things were carried out by the staff. So I thought that was pretty cool. I will say, as a quick side note, I don't even know what the entry fee was, but the fact that you got your choice of either a basket or a grip travel bag and a pair of Merrell shoes, along with a couple of discs and a shirt and some sunglasses and some other odds and ends, along with a couple of meals.
I didn't see anybody upset about the players pack. I'll say that. I didn't read
just
anywhere.
Financially, I don't know how you could be.
No.
I mean, to the point where they actually offer the players pack for sale, even for people who aren't going to come play. And it is a very good value. Oh, plus Zanfell, which I guess is very expensive. I didn't realize how expensive
really
it is as a poison ivy remedy. A pack of that as well. Point is, when you're looking at the value from that perspective alone, it seems like it's definitely there. Again, you can argue as to whether you got to play your favorite course or not. Some of those things are and aren't entirely logistically possible. But and I don't know the final number. The last tip of the cap has to go to raising yet more money for St. Jude. I'm going to guess it was tens of thousands. That's funny. I don't know how I didn't hear the actual number, but I'm going to guess it was in the tens of thousands of dollars raised for St. Jude. I think there's been nearly 700,000 raised over the last 10 years.
Doing good things.
That I don't know. I'm sure somebody could find some fault with that because it's the internet, but I don't know how. I think it's pretty impressive. So, all right.
Real quick, for those of you that are interested, I know it's that we primarily focus on mostly the pro side of the game here, but we do have AM Worlds going on right now.
Well, and I got a big announcement, but go on.
Yeah, they're currently one round in, so today was the first round. Right now, Jeff Yonda is leading the division by one stroke. Now, it says he's in second place, but there's different pools. So that means they play different courses. I'm going to assume that the A pool is kind of the leading pool right now. He shot an 11 under. And then
unofficially rated.
Unofficially
I'm gonna say
rated
10-12.
1047.
Dang.
Yeah.
Nice work.
So you've got Jeff Yondas in first place in the A pool. The B pool shooting a 1057 was RJ Cherkis.
Dang.
So they played Brewer versus Johnson.
No, I think they're playing Brewer tomorrow, probably.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably right.
But
you're probably right. And I can't figure it out because when you hovered over it.
Yeah, I think those are. I don't know if those are just the two courses. Yeah, no, hover over the actual score, the 41 there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or the nope. I guess because of the pools, it's probably really
tough.
tough.
Yeah, it's probably tough because of the pools.
But they probably played Johnson today, the B pool,
and then they'll switch tomorrow.
A few clicks and we could get there, but
that's
anyway.
too much for me.
Yeah.
So
point is, some good shooting so far.
And over on the FPO, they only have one pool, the C pool.
FA1.
What did I say? FPO.
FPO.
Sorry,
which is
FA1.
fair,
sorry, FA1. Virginia Polkinghorn. She is winning by 2 strokes currently over Alex Ulp. We talked about Virginia the last time we spoke of some of our amateurs.
Yes,
a few weeks ago.
Exactly. I think I've seen Virginia win a few junior world titles, if I recall. So yes, yeah, she has declined some cash even in the FPO division.
Yeah, she's won 3 events in FPO. One probably a doubles, the Ice Bowl, which is a charity event, the Monkey Island over in Emporia, and the 8th annual Forsyth Open.
Yeah, that's just in FPO. She's also won every advanced event she's played in this year.
Yeah.
And then she's competing in FJ18.
She's competing in FJ18.
So excited to see her. I'm guessing her and her mom. I think I saw them or her mom briefly this last weekend. So anyway, excited and yeah, best of luck. She took fourth.
She took fourth
at the Junior Worlds in Tulsa a few weeks ago.
Yeah, to Kayla Hess. Also, I wonder if Kayla Hess is playing this weekend as well.
Oh man, gotta get to the bottom of all this.
Kayla Hess is in. Damn. That's John Hess. Kayla Hess. Currently
slower start in
24th currently. So
Virginia
has about 10 strokes right now.
So, quick announcement. This is just recently become finalized. I am heading to Michigan tomorrow. So
you can take the ferry over. Or you
I kind of want to, but I won't.
No, you won't,
because I think it's cost prohibitive. That it's probably far more expensive than just to drive.
Probably an extra $100 or $150.
I've never been on the ferry
Neither have I.
Even though I've been to Michigan dozens. Not hundreds, dozens of times. I've never taken the ferry. And today I punched it in just to confirm how long it'd take me to get to Grand Rapids. And it said 3 hours and 57 minutes. And I'm like, that feels a little short. Then I scroll up on my app and I'm like, oh yeah, because it's telling me to take the ferry across from Milwaukee over. And it's like 4.5 hours.
Because it's almost a straight shot from Milwaukee straight across to Grand Rapids.
So
as opposed to going all the way around
down
the lake.
into Chicago and into Hoosier
through Gary
and all those other places. But I will be driving around. Now that I've experienced that ferry life in both Norway and Estonia, feels like the way to be. But if you hate Chicago and Chicago traffic, absolutely is a no-brainer, smart way to go. I personally don't mind rolling through Chicago, but yeah, otherwise the ferry from Milwaukee over is the 100% the right way to go. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm leaving tomorrow. Not on a jet plane, but in my car, heading over to Grand Rapids. I have a little bit of history in Grand Rapids of we've played tournaments there in college and such, but I also 97 AM Worlds.
First AM Worlds I ever went to, and I caddied.
Yeah.
I didn't even play that because I was so new to the sport. You didn't
even know what was going on.
I barely had a PDGA number at that point. I probably only had one for a few weeks. And instead, all my friends were going over, so I thought, I'm just going to go over, have fun, and caddy.
Yeah, 97 AM Worlds. That was my second AM Worlds, where I had competed there, had a lot of fun. And then it was, I think, 2016, 17, somewhere in that neighborhood, the Masters Worlds was taking place over there. And I had a contract the following weekend, so I went over there and got like the Masters doubles. I had filmed that on my channel and did a few other things. So I'm excited to take in some more Grand Rapids, officially locked in and finalized today. So tomorrow I'll head over there and I will be on the ground watching our top 2 divisions, our only 2 divisions at this event, our FA1 and our MA1. And I'm excited to see who gets crowned world champion in both of those divisions. So if you're there or going to be there or know somebody going to be there, it'd be great to say hi to whomever. If we have to stop at Founders for any backwoods bastards or anything
Is that
of
on the way?
nature,
Is that around by? Is it near?
It's maybe in Grand Rapids.
Oh.
So I'm just saying.
Careful crossing state lines with that stuff. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I don't think that should be a problem.
I don't think it is either.
If it's bottled and in the trunk and I'm not consuming it, I think we should be good. And similarly, I will say if anyone needs something like boxes specifically, I can pack a few of those along tomorrow as well when I head out of town. So if you need any of my disc in a box, I know I can save you some money and just bring them along. But excited, really genuinely excited to be part of yet another Worlds, this time from a media perspective. Right. I don't know if there's any other news. I don't know if we talked. Yeah, since last week. Yeah, we this is new. Our board of directors were officially solidified via the voting process.
You're right.
I'm not sure if there'll be a peaceful transfer of power here, but
we
can hope.
Can we get a bunch of people and just storm the PDGA headquarters?
Yeah, everybody shows up down in Appling.
That's right.
Wildwood Park, yes.
I call wearing the horns, though.
Yes, that seems.
I want to be the shaman guy.
That seems appropriate. Yes,
all right.
We should definitely do that. So, somewhere here we've got our winners. I believe
Teo Pazzi,
and Terry Kaito, and
Mr. Wallace.
Wilbur Wallace were I was going to call them your champions.
Your champions, your winners of the vote.
And then we also had the some international stuff. Let's see if I can find that handy as well. It's like it's not popping up.
Right here?
Oh, you got it. There you go. Go ahead and read them all off again.
Yeah, Wilbur Wallace, PDG number 6583. Teo Pazzi, which, again, it's Teo, not Theo.
Although it 100 million percent looks like Theo,
which
Theo,
but it's pronounced Teo. We've known him for a very long time. His PDG number is just a hair under mine.
Yep.
His is 14166. I'm 14324. Terry Kaito, PDG number 79817. And then your PDGA European Board of Directors. You've got Hristo Nyland, PDG number 70759. Sofia de Campos Pereira. I'm going to go with Pereira. PDG number 128365. And then a bunch of state coordinators, which I will not rattle off because I don't care enough.
Good.
And it's not Wisconsin.
Yeah. So congrats to all the state coordinators.
Pete Ulibarri from Arizona.
You guys definitely had to do some work in that, some of you. Yeah, great to see. And then also congrats to all of... I mean, honestly, it's a tip of the cap to everyone who went through the process, did all the right things, jumped through the hoops to even then potentially make it to the whole nominating process, to be one of the people. I mean, just the fact that people are putting forth that effort and are able to, go out and try and be some of that change. I do applaud all of you. Congrats as well to ultimately the 3 board members that were
the good thing
elected.
Is Doc Zen on the board said he's in with me for storming the PDGA, so he gets to be the guy that carries the podium out.
Yes.
So we need one of him.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it's there's a whole crew of people that we could go with. At that point, I think it's best to stop the analogy.
I was just going to say, I don't think there's ever been a problem with any election stuff in Georgia before. So I can't imagine this one would be different.
No.
Anyway. Okay. Somebody's telling me to take the ferry. I'll look into it. Maybe that would be a pleasant ride back. Maybe I'd entertain that depending on the timing. I don't know.
See, the problem is
I like driving too much.
Yeah, and when you leave to leave late. So the ferry probably wouldn't be there. You'd probably have to get there the night, spend the night over right on the lake, and then do it in the morning. But at that point, you're thinking, well, no, I could just drive the 4 hours home.
Yeah.
And then,
we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
But whatever.
Tim Quartz does ask a valid, pretty solid question. Who's doing course coverage at LWS? Gonna miss Terry. Yes, and just to clarify, I guess, I, from the beginning of the season, was not specifically on the schedule for this event. I have frequently been the on-course person. However, in having more of Nate Perkins and obviously Brian Earhart and all these people available, there's just more personnel overall for the year. We've covered all that, and so I wasn't.
There was some layoffs at the DGPT, and I think they're kind of coming in to a time where they're going to be relying more on in-house staff for a lot of these other things. I think not necessarily I was not. You're not going to. Your schedule isn't changing, but that we will see other things that might.
Get changed up just a little bit.
Adjusted
so honestly, I'm not sure even what the commentary team is. Now, the more I think about it,
it's Charlie and for Idlewild, it's Charlie and
Brian.
Well, Brian for MPO probably. Charlie and Brian, but I don't know who FPO is. It might be.
I honestly, I'm not sure.
Maybe Hokum or something.
Not to sound flippant, but I do care. But I don't know because I'm not in any way involved with the event, and I wasn't in that capacity. So I am unsure how the media is going to unfold. I know I am definitely excited to help out PDGA and to be part of the AM Worlds in this case. So all of my schedule pretty much is intact in that I'll be in the booth for Worlds on site, but then also GMC, Maple Hill, and for the Tour Championship, which are 3 events that I've been doing every year for the last 4 or 5 years. So it feels like. All right. Terry should stay in the booth. Less chance of a sunburn. That is definitely a possibility. Good call. At least. All right. I feel like I had other things, but I can't recall. So we'll have to save them for the after show. There's no problem there. Big shout out to everyone that made all of the event possible. The staff, the crew, tons of volunteers, St. Jude and other charities, certainly the beneficiary of a lot of that work. And congrats to our champions, Gannon Burr. It's clearly tough.
It's boring
for people to be betting against him right now with what he's doing. You know how good Ricky Wysocki has been over these last few weeks, and now he's going to have another week of being rested after this last weekend. We see that Paul has shown some of the old season. Paul on any given round or weekend, so to speak. And then you clearly can never let off when you have someone like a Klein and a Ezra and an Isaac and a Calvin, and it's all very exciting. If you think you've got an absolute lock, I would just love to bet against that, because I don't think there's any lock on anything. There might be a few favorites and a few people trending, but I think disc golf is up for grabs in a lot of ways, and I think it's going to be true come Worlds as well. When I think about seeing a lot of the European women coming back, and just being in the mix, as they're usually contenders too. So, all right, let's close it out. We're going to have some giveaways tonight, of course. We've got some stuff to catch up on. I should reach out. Maybe Ledgestone wants to be our sponsor of all the giveaways. I hear they got a bunch of merch. We'll see if they want to give anything away. But for now, we're going to call it. This has been SmashBoxxTV Podcast, episode 518. Big thanks to our guest in Holyn Handley. Congratulations to her for being victorious this weekend, and looking forward to some giveaways and other random chat in the after show. For Johnny VM, the Disc Golf Guy, 518. We'll see you in the after show. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast 518's After
Show. It says so on the bottom.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
And you got a whole new graphic for that?
Well, it's not new. It's always been there, but
That's some pretty fancy
so everybody
editing
knows.
and such for you.
I know that's
That's next level. Well, here we
I
are.
mean, it's been there for like 4 years.
I know.
So, but
Wow. All right. So now what?
I don't know. I was trying to think of what's been going on. I had somebody come over to the house today. So I don't think we're going to follow through.
Okay.
We are looking at possibly solar for our house. Obviously, energy prices, blah, blah, blah. I could give you the whole spiel. To put solar on the house for the next whatever, it's going to be like $212 a month. And, versus whatever I pay in my solar or in my electricity bill, blah, blah, blah. I don't think we're going to end up doing it because I don't trust the roof on our house. It's a flat roof and it's got TPO, which is like a plastic and not a shingle. So there's all sorts of weird little things. But they told us a couple weeks ago, they're like, yeah, we're going to send somebody out to your house in order to check it out, to make sure your roof is capable of handling it and that your electrical is capable of handling it. Some older houses, maybe won't be able to handle it. I was like, okay, great. My wife tells me 9 o'clock today they're coming, 9 a.m. All right, I wait. Sure enough, right at 9 a.m., this kid, maybe 19, kind of strolls up to the house. He's like, hey, I'm here to check on your house for solar, for the solar thing. And I was like, oh, okay. I was told we were going to get a roof inspection and an electrical inspection. I'm looking at this 19-year-old kid thinking, like, how much experience do you have for, like, a roof? And, like, I expect some grizzled vet. Some guy who's, probably fallen off the roof more times than I've crawled up it. Mm-hmm. So, but no. So he comes in and he just, like, show me your electrical boxes. They're click, takes like 6 pictures of we've got the main one downstairs here and then 2 sub panels. And then I was like, all right, are you going to get up on the roof? He's like, well, I said, okay, well, if you are, it's a TPO roof, which means it's like a plastic roof. It's very slick, and it was raining this morning. I said, it's like kind of like an ice rink sometimes up there. So you got to be very careful. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get up there anyway. I'm just going to snap some photos. And I was like, you're just going to literally take like 6 photos of my roof? And he's like, yep. And then I send in some engineer. And he's like, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. He's like, I'm pretty new. But he's like, well, I don't. And he literally said this. He's like, I'm really new, and I don't exactly know what I'm doing. But I know what I'm talking about. And I was like, okay. All right.
Interesting distinction.
That's what I thought as well. And all I kept thinking is like, oh my God, I could have literally snapped these photos 2 weeks ago. After this kid comes and does his review, we've got like 12 days or 14 days to decide whether we're going to do it. I'm fairly certain we're not going to. We just wanted to get a general idea. And yeah, I was very disappointed that I literally, it's something I could have done 2 weeks ago, just on a nicer day even. Just snapped some photos of my roof and snapped a few photos of the boxes and been done. But this 19-year-old kid strolls in my house and doesn't help me out at all. So I don't know. We'd really like to do solar, but I just don't think it's the right time. And I don't think, like I said, I don't trust my roof. Not gonna lie. I've walked up there quite a bit, and it's a little squishy at times in spots.
Well, do you feel like you're going to need a new roof?
I don't think so.
Soon?
I hope not.
At some point.
I hope not. But the roof was put on in 2020. We know that. It was before we moved in. But we also talked to the guy who put in the roof, and he was like, we did a good job as we could, based on what we were told by the previous homeowner. They had like a branch fall through the roof at the time, which is why they went with this new TPO roof. And he's like, yeah, this guy didn't want to do, he's like, we had all these recommendations to make it, last for, whatever, 30 years. He wanted the bare minimum because that's all that was going to be paid for by insurance. I think he knew he was selling. So up on the top of the roof, again, it's a flat roofed house. When I get up there in the fall and in the spring, it's always to squeegee off the puddles that are up there that sit on the top of the roof and the leaves that land in those puddles and just sit for all summer long and all fall long. So every fall I get up there and I squeegee them off. It takes me about half hour, 40 minutes walking around on my roof, trying not to fall on my ass and slip and fall. And And I do that in the spring, and I sometimes do it I definitely do it in the fall before winter. Sometimes I do it in the spring too. So I don't know. But I'm hoping I don't need a new roof anytime soon. The roofer who put it on there, of course, told me, he's like, no, you're good for like the next 15 years. And I'm like, am I though? I would think so, but
I feel like that's a minimum.
Yeah.
Life expectancy of a roof.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel, but maybe it's just because it's the type of... The problem is it's not pitched at all. It's like, I want it a slightly pitched roof, like not much, maybe a 12 inches 2, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, rise over run.
Okay,
yeah.
rise over run, Terry. Just because, like I said, right now the water just sits up there.
Yeah.
And
that's weird that they would make that in Wisconsin, really. Anyway.
I mean, it's a much older house. It's a certain style. It's like a Frank Lloyd Wright style. So I love the flat roof, but the fact that that's what they had when the house was built, and the roofer was like, no, we pushed this, but it was going to cost like an extra like $3,000 in materials. And the previous homeowner was like, no, I ain't doing that because the insurance didn't cover it. So now I'm stuck with this flat roof with some pooling and spots, and it is what it is. But there's not much I can do about it. So I don't know.
I just want to know when you will raise the roof.
I don't think
or when the roof is on fire.
I hope neither of those things. I hope I never have to raise the roof, and I hope the roof is never on fire.
All right. Well, there's some, I don't know, 90s or early 2000 references for everybody out there. Reading off of the board to see what's coming in. Someone asked if I did anything special for my birthday. You mean outside of working in disc golf in Peoria? No. Unfortunately not. I guess I was blessed that on Saturday night, there were a number of people that congregated, as many other nights, but congregated at the boat casino that's located right there in Peoria area. I came out ahead, which is always a bonus, birthday or not. Anytime you come out ahead on the weekend of being in a casino and actually sitting down and playing some games for a little while. Blackjack is my game of choice. As silly as I know roulette is, I love it, but I did not play any this last weekend. But I do realize how ridiculous that game is. But yes, came out $100 ahead. Don't tell the tax man when it was all said and done. But about $100 over the 2 nights. The first night I was there, which was maybe Wednesday or Thursday, I broke even. It was dead even.
Did you see any other disc golfers there while you were there?
Yes, it was plenty, including some others.
Don't name names, apparently.
No, it's pretty harmless over there. But did see quite a few golfers, as you usually do.
Correct.
Which is great, and obviously it's your top tier elite level golfers all the way down to every other division that's offered. You can see you can run into just about anybody over there, and I think that's what's honestly part of the allure. It's kind of fun. You go over there and it's like, oh, hey, we may run into so-and-so or so-and-so that frequently visit. I don't think there's any shame or any wrongdoing. We often see as well a couple of representatives of Discraft in their upper management. Sometimes they'll go there and hang out as well, support their team and their players. So lots of good people there. On Saturday night, after hanging out with quite a few people, I ventured a little closer into the downtown area where there were a few of our other top professionals having a good time, and got to hang out with them, which is always a lot of fun as well, even if I am old enough to be some of their dads, and not all of them, but some of them, and had another really good time there as well. So I know I said it in the opening of the regular show. It's very fun knowing that National Disc Golf Day and that there's usually a large scale event taking place around my birthday. AJ Risley was trying to recall whether it was the 2013 or the 2015 opening round of Worlds that we played together on my birthday, and I didn't fact check. I know in 2015, that was the first day of Worlds in Pittsburgh. The very first round was also on the 4th, And I feel like, yeah, some of the other worlds have also taken place there. So that was kind of a funny thought back when both AJ and I played way back in the day. But nothing too crazy when it was all said and done. Just a lot of really gracious people being very kind to me. So I can't complain. Yeah, birthday in Disc Golf City is pretty sweet. Then again, yeah, most cities. Yeah. Anyway.
I asked you last week. I'll ask you again.
Uh-oh.
Have you caught any of the Olympics?
I, for the first time, finally consumed
go ahead.
A little bit of time last night. The gymnastics was on. I have two daughters who are mildly engaged in watching it and, of course, can appreciate it because both of them have done some official tumbling and training and things of that nature throughout both of their lives. So watched a little bit of that, and that was about it.
Is there any sport?
That is the only couple of minutes that I've consumed. When does it end?
This upcoming weekend.
Okay.
I think Sunday.
Okay, then not much is going to change because I can't see myself sitting down and taking in anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you don't go out of your way to watch any events.
Uh-huh.
Is there an event you enjoy watching? Like when you're like, it's cool when I get to see that. When I get to see this,
I would admit I don't even know what's all even offered anymore. Only for the fact that I think there's probably newer cool stuff that's also offered that I don't even know about. Like I think I saw on a screen tonight at dinner, like something with Tony Hawk and some other skateboarder. I have to assume there's
some skateboarding in the Olympics.
Yeah, so like something like that I would probably enjoy.
There was some cool kayak thing that they were doing. Like, they dropped into this fake raging river, and they had to do barrel rolls and go around these things.
Part of what was being shown last night was, I don't know how new it is, but there was some surfing that was being shown for just a little while last night. I felt like that feels like it's newer. And then I watched maybe it was just part of the highlight, but I watched the gentleman from Sweden who went to LSU that broke the world record for the pole vault.
Yeah, I read a little bit about him because there's a lot of people that are like, he should have been an American because he was born in America.
Yeah, I was confused about all of it.
So his mom was born in Sweden.
Okay.
His dad was a pole vaulter, and he wanted his dad to coach him. But according to the United States Olympic Committee, they were like, no, we have our coaches. He's not our coach. So he said, more or less, okay, cool story, bro. I'm going to have my dad coach me, and he's got dual citizenship because of his mom. So he's like, I'll just go for Sweden. Believe that's the story.
Okay.
And then he breaks the world record.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about pole vaulting except for watching his last two attempts. It feels like that pole could be a foot taller, and he'd still be okay. Like, really damn impressive.
You mean a foot shorter?
No. Like, no.
You mean, okay, the
bar.
pole,
Sorry, the bar.
Yeah, okay.
The bar. Because, I mean, again, I don't know anything about anything, but the way in which he cleared it during his final one, spoilers, his final one, I was like, oh my God, they could add a foot to that bar, it looked like.
Yeah.
So that was very impressive. But, other than that.
I always want to look at, and I'm not going to, I always want to look at, why don't they make a longer pole so you can jump higher? Like at some point, I mean, the pole has clearly changed in the last 50 years, 60 years, it's changed lengths based on whatever sort of materials can be made out of. It's not.
What are those even made out of?
It's some sort of carbon fiber, probably something crazy like that. But it's not the same wooden pole that it was 80 years ago.
Yeah. So
I'm curious. I'm like, well, I wonder when, at some point, when everyone can clear this, do they make a longer pole and bump up I don't know.
Just thinking of my fat ass running down there.
Oh my God!
Trying to get the pole to bend and watch it bend and then see how well it's
not so much
back.
Straighten out like you and me would both.
That would be not funny. So yeah, I can't speak to that.
This weekend I did watch. I was up in Dorconi. I did watch the woman cyclist, who just blew away the competition. Out of nowhere, I felt like. And granted, again, I don't know squat about cycling. It was on live. It was on the TV up north, and I just kind of was, eating breakfast and kind of watching it. This woman, she was in the second group, not the leaders. There were two other women who were the leaders. And suddenly, with like 5 kilometers to go, the second group starts to catch up to the first group, and then they all converge, and you're like, oh, cool, this is going to be like a 5-person race. No, or a 4-person race, because I think one of the people fell back. This American woman and this is a 4-hour-long race, bike race, and I caught the last 25 minutes of it. This woman takes off. You're like, okay, cool, she gets ahead, the other people are going to catch up to her. No, she just keeps going and going. And the other bikers are looking at each other. because they have to decide, 3 of them, do we work together to catch her?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a guessing game of who gets whatever, or do the 3 of us stay back here, let her go, hopefully we'll catch up to her because she'll wear herself out, or do we just say she's going to get the gold? And it's like they just sat there and said, okay, you get the gold, we're going to fight for silver and bronze back here. It was amazing. This woman just suddenly put the jets on, and she easily won. And all I kept, my son was sitting there, he's like, how come they're not chasing her? I'm like, I don't know this sport enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, clearly there's strategies that...
I don't know why clearly you're at the end of a 4-hour race, your body is destroyed, but not this woman. She's decided, now's the time I'm going to kick it into gear. So it was really, really cool to watch.
Like positive K, she kicks in like a turbo booster. I don't know. Huh. Yeah, I like I said, didn't consume a lot. I don't think that's going to change much with the excitement of heading over to Am Worlds. But I certainly can appreciate the insane, as one of my daughters said last night, which isn't exactly earth-shattering revelation. She's like, I just can't imagine working all of these years and then misstepping by a few inches, stepping out of bounds or doing whatever. Like, yeah, it's pretty intense. I can't imagine either.
Well, it's one way to look at it. I mean, the other way is like you made it to the Olympics. I mean, you've won probably national and regional and even world competitions to make it to the Olympics every 4 years. Yeah, it does. It sucks. Like, I kept thinking of the guy that they were calling the pommel horse guy, the one that looks like Superman because he's got like these dark glasses on. He was the final for the men's team, which was last week. He was the final person that got to do it. All he does is the pommel horse. Like most of these guys, they have I'm going to do floor and this. No, they literally call him pommel horse guy. And
Clever branding,
of course. He gets up there and he does a great pommel horse, and the U.S. men's team gets bronze. And then he does a solo and he gets bronze as well. And all I keep thinking is like, you do one thing, dude. Like,
do it better.
No. All I'm thinking is, imagine if you screwed that up.
Yeah.
Like this is your one thing. At least a lot of those people, it's like, oh, I screwed this one up. I'm racing in a different race. I'm doing another event. No, man, you're pommel horse guy, and you get one shot at this. Where, you've got the shot put guys who get 3 or 4 attempts at the throws, and I think you take the longest one. We took first, I think, gold and silver in that for like the last 4 years. The last 4 Olympics is what they said. Like or 3 Olympics maybe. Our guys are awesome at that. It's crazy to think how much effort you put in just for that one time period.
Yeah, as Kenzie said, she's like, I feel like all these gymnasts have been doing it since they were like 2. I'm like, yeah, a lot of them have.
They literally have.
It's pretty crazy. People in chat, does JVD know he's the Smashbox guy? That does lead me actually to very much thank and recognize. Of course, you get that many people together. There's a few that like us. So to the few that did say hi and or that specifically they love the show or watch the show, thank you again.
You very much.
There is that. Without sounding egotistical, that never gets old. We do appreciate the recognition or the shout out, the support, whatever you want to call it, or just the fact that you tell us you somehow can tolerate listening for enough hours. That's a compliment in itself. So thank you very much. And speaking of which, I will compliment him very much so that I just randomly did send Nate Heinold a message and said, hey, any chance you want to sponsor the giveaways tonight? And he said he would.
Oh, we're giving something big away. No,
yeah, we are. A St. Jude charity glow set.
Wow.
So we're doing that.
I think I won that. It's amazing.
And a Luna 3-pack. X, which I guess consists of an X Swirl Luna. I don't even know what all these are. X Swirl Luna, a Z Glow Fly Dye Luna, and a Soft Luna. So 2 different sets of discs that we'll be giving out. So as always, we have to double check your shipping address. I will forward it onto the Ledgestone crew, and then they'll get those 2 separate packs. So
That's awesome.
I'm not going to lie, tonight's going to be a more substantial giveaway than normal for the fact that he's stepping up and giving all that stuff away.
And if you want to be eligible,
seriously,
you go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. That is the only way you're eligible, unless you go to the website, which I'm already pulling the names. So by the time you go to the website and go to SmashBoxxTV
you had to do it before 2 minutes ago.
/weekly giveaways, you're out of luck because I'm already grabbing the form responses
for this week.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, and we're going to give away 2 awesome things. Well, thank you, Nate Heinold and Ledgestone.
Yeah, very much appreciate it.
We do love that. I'm actually creating the list right now.
While you're doing that, I wanted to quickly say big thanks to Paul over at the social media side and creative director and such. He does a lot of stuff for Discraft and for Ledgestone. I had a unique opportunity this weekend in that one of my primary tasks as a staff member was to film primarily Discraft and Ledgestone players, hence they're looking to use it for their social media and for other branding and content, but film players, FPO and MPO players, in a vertical format using my semi-decent camera, my little kind of handheld camera, but to film them in vertical format and then pass it off to actually have professionally edited. And what an awesome experience it was, because I've never been shy about this. Editing is, not only am I not good at it, I just generally don't enjoy it that much. And Paul is the exact opposite. He says he'd rather not capture it because he'd rather edit it. Unbelievable. Wow. And I'll show you later.
You're like peanut butter and chocolate, buddy.
Yeah, I'll show you later. There were a couple of, and I hope plenty more comes out, because now we actually have a pretty deep catalog of a lot of players from the weekend. But there were a couple of reels or stories or whatever that got posted to the Ledgestone, specifically the Ledgestone page. I was like, oh my God, that's my footage. And it looks really good because Paul did the edit to them. And
it doesn't matter how crappy your filming is.
Yeah, you can cover it up. But they said that the filming itself was okay, but it was really exciting. And that just, I guess, maybe furthers the point of how crucial it is that I get with some people that like to edit. And I just thank you to Ledgestone, but thank you to Paul for the opportunity, and hopefully tons of promotional stuff will continue to roll out. I feel like a lot of that's going to be able to be recycled, but a few of the posts this weekend were like, that's a damn good looking video, and I was just a tiny part of the actual filming. He did the cool stuff to it, so hope you guys enjoyed that, and maybe there'll be more of those opportunities in the future. If you're an editor, let me know, because it could be cool. All right. Ray says, I'm going to win tonight. Dan Harbeck is in the chat as well. Dan, appreciate you, and thanks for joining us.
Well, should we find out if
let's do one of them.
We'll do one of them. So, again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. We have currently tonight 123 people eligible for our giveaway.
Getting at it. Appreciate it.
Yep. So I'm going to hit refresh here on random.org. So we're at the thing. I sorted this first one by address. So anyone that has an address in our system, that means you're probably one of the $3 and above Patreon supporters. You're going to be at the top of the list. And anyone that is either entered in that is probably not put in their address via Patreon, you're at the bottom of the list.
I kind of like it. Here's what I would say. You don't owe us anything in terms of putting in your address. However, if you win on any given week, like tonight, it really helps speed things up and move things along. We have tons of information and a ton of great Patreon supporters, and we appreciate literally every single one of you as I'm looking down the list and looking at all of you. Mm-hmm. If we have your address, the chances of you getting the weekly giveaway quicker, much, much quicker, increase exponentially. So if you ever do happen to log back into your Patreon at any time, consider putting in your address, just because it helps out. Because then it's a lot easier just to quickly email you and say, hey, this is what we have for an address. Is that right? You say yes, and then instantly I can print the label and ship out whatever the weekly giveaway drawing is. That's the number one hang up to you getting your stuff, is me not having your address or waiting for this confirmation process. So I still confirm with you, but it does speed things up considerably.
All right, Terry Miller. There we are. We're on screen now. 123. What number should we generate?
Let's go with most random of thoughts, which is round 3, Lisa Fakis's 3 throw-ins from outside of circle 2.
Which would maybe be considered circle 3.
Yeah, so I think 3.
Our third number, generate. First one is 112. Second one is 87. Our third and final number is 84. So this sounds like someone near the middle to bottom of the list. I should actually
we probably don't have
an address for. And this is for the Lunas, or this is for the...
Oh, that's a good question.
I haven't looked yet at who gets it.
Yeah, so. Let's go with, this is for the, let's go with the Luna set.
This is for the Luna set. Now I'm going to scroll down here. I said 84. That's what I said. That'd be Alan Fassett. Congratulations, Alan.
Heck yeah, Alan.
We will reach out to you, Alan, and get your address. I'll send your email address to Terry, where he will reach out, and you are the winner of the Luna set.
Yes, thank you, Alan. I will email you, and I will CC in the Ledgestone crew, who will ultimately fulfill that giveaway. So thank you again to Team Ledgestone over there, and thank you, Alan, for being a Patreon supporter. Let's hold off. We'll do the other one a little later.
Okay. What else do you have to talk about?
Nothing. You want to do the other giveaway? No. No. I don't know.
I did go see Wolverine and Deadpool. It was really good. You wouldn't like it
at all.
I mean, you'd like it just because it is kind of it's funny.
The humor's there, regardless of if I care about the storyline.
There's not much. There's not much of a storyline.
Oh,
to be honest, like, this is a movie that is really made for fans of comic book shows and movies, because there are so many inside and throwback jokes. Now, there's a ton of just, I would say, childish humor that you would get a kick out of. It's funny watching, Deadpool shove his butt in someone's face as he shoots him in the head or whatever that is. There's a lot of that. But there are so many things that you would hear people laughing and cheering about that you'd be sitting there like, I don't get it. Like when they bring they bring some cameos in. I don't want to spoil it, because I'm sure there are people. It did just come out this last weekend, so or not this last weekend, the weekend before, because I saw it on Wednesday. So when they bring certain people in that you're like, oh, that person always wanted to be in a Marvel movie, and there's a lot of backstory to it and things like that. So it was funny. I enjoyed it. My wife and I and my son, who is 15, saw it. And I at no point did I think it was really that inappropriate for him, which is funny, because we watched the other Deadpool movies, and I forgot that there is some, in the first one, some pretty gratuitous nudity.
Oh.
I mean,
the good kind?
Oh, yeah, it's gratuitous.
Okay.
Like, there's just there is some there's a lot of things that he didn't understand. Even at 15, I think, you're like, okay, I'm glad you don't get that joke. But overall, enjoyed it quite a bit. So if you have liked any of the Deadpool, you will like this. If you liked any of the old Marvel or even some of the newer Marvel stuff, you will like this. It is right up there. It scratched all the itches. So extremely violent, someone says. Yes.
A number of people had, and I love this, and this is obviously, I'm not special to this. There were a number of people, though, that were carrying around various Brixton cards this weekend with their opportunity to get them signed. And I know that because I signed a couple as well, which I'm super flattered by. But what a cool just opportunity in general, that when you're at an event of this scale and you have almost all of your top players there, that they're able to then go get their. It was just the amount of people I saw having that happen.
Did you read
I
your
thought
Brixton
was-
contract? You're not allowed to sign those.
Oh, that's a good point.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny though, because you think like part of the whole deal of getting these some of these exclusive cards are that they're signed.
That's why I'm signing them differently.
Oh, are you?
I did. I actually did. The 3, I think I signed 3 cards this weekend. The ones that I signed, I did a little differently than the ones that I officially signed when we submitted them.
Yeah, but how would anyone know that other than you?
Well, if I sign, I think on all the other ones, I signed them Terry Miller.
Yeah.
These I signed Terry Miller, and then I think I put in quotes DG guy. So it's a significant difference now.
Correct, but and I'm just obviously I was joking. You're everyone's welcome to sign the cards as they would like to, but it is interesting now to see those things floating around out there.
Did you see? Again, flattered. Adam Hammis had submitted one of the signed cards that he had got from Brixton, one of me. He submitted it to the official grading system, PSA or whatever I think is the official, well, one of the couple of main grading systems, and it came back a 10 of 10.
Ooh, you're a 10 of 10, Terry.
I'm a 10. I offered him 99 cents for it, but I know the grading even costs more than that. But he says he's going to keep it, so that is.
He is a card collector.
A huge.
Yeah.
So I don't. For those that didn't see, if you don't follow him on Instagram or whatever socials, he came back from Europe a week early. He did not play in the Estonian event, and then he spent some time with his significant other, his lady friend, and they were in New York. And at one point, he went into, I don't know what kind of shop, card shop or whatever. He went in, he opened some cards then on the street, and he pulled what he said was probably a $5,000 card. Did you see this?
No.
I think it was a Brewer rookie card, or I don't, because he just got that graded as well.
Okay.
And so now I'm not sure which one was which, but he posted that he pulled some very
one of one something.
Yeah, very special card, and it feels crazy that he already would have gotten that one graded, but maybe it was. But yeah, he's pulled a very, very lucrative card per his. I don't know enough clearly, but he had pulled a very lucrative card.
Well, that's awesome for him. I don't know what else to say about.
Yeah,
that.
no, it was just. I think it was today though that he posted something with a brewer, and I don't know if that was specifically the card that was.
I'll have to look at his Instagram.
Yeah. Now I'm really curious. Sorry for some.
Yeah, I know. There's always Dan says he should sell it now. There's always the debate whether do you take the money now and run, or do you hold on to it, hope it increases in value? Cards tend to sometimes increase in value, sometimes they don't.
So he says, pull of a lifetime. I am speechless. This was on July 26th. See if I can get a little volume, just so I know. Because I believe.
Outside the MLB store.
Oh, he's.
And I grabbed.
So he's outside the MLB store. So he's going through his deck, obviously, and
he's just setting the other ones on the ground, which I think is kind of funny, on the concrete ground. But a Jackson Churio SSP Red 5 pulled on the street of New York City.
Which I wouldn't be saying that loudly in New York. This is a $5,000 card I'm holding, everyone.
Wow. At that point, you walk right back in the MLB store and get a case for it?
He may even have some. So anyway,
With him, yeah.
I believe that, I feel like an Instagram post. So that was July 26th. That was longer ago than I even realized. I feel like he made a post as of maybe even today that it's been officially graded. And I think it was a 10. It was considered a 10 of
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Wow.
So yeah, anyway, congrats to him. Obviously, card collecting has come and gone throughout the years. And right now it's back to being pretty hot. You and I were of much earlier days, of card collecting when we were kids. I feel like it clearly slowed for a few years and now is definitely on the up and rye, whatever.
And Jackson
Back
Churio is a brewer,
Yes.
just so everyone knows.
Yeah. Which I'm a big Brewer fan. Just kidding.
I'm going to the Brewer game on Sunday, actually.
Okay.
My son is gone for the week. He's up in Door County with his grandparents. He spends a week up there every year. And it's funny because he's 15 now. And I was talking to his grandmother, my mother-in-law, and then she's like, is this going to be his last year? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do next year. He likes to go up there. He likes spending time with them because they basically treat him however he gets to do whatever he wants, and daily ice cream at Dairy Queen and all that other fun stuff that grandparents get to spoil your kid with. But I was like, maybe he'll be 16. He'll have his license next year, but maybe he'll want to still go up there. We're going to head up there to pick him up on Saturday or on Friday. Saturday, I've got a graduation party for a relative. And then Sunday, we're going to the Brewer game because it is Sesame Street Day at the Brewer.
Dang.
So we're going to go there. My daughter is still a big fan of Sesame Street. And she is very excited that she thinks she's going to see all the Sesame Street characters. And it's going to be a spoiler that she's not. But we'll see. Maybe they'll have a character or two there to take pictures with. And if so, then we'll have to wait in line. But that is, I will get to see the Brewers hopefully on Sunday. I don't even know who they play on Sunday.
Funny enough, I know that some of our players, I had talked to AB on Sunday night, and he said that him and a bunch of others were actually going to, because I said, when are you going to head down to Idlewild? Obviously heading from Peoria, Central Illinois, heading down to Idlewild, you continue going south, except for on the very next day, on Monday, they were going to go the 2 hours northeast into Chicago to go to a Cubs game and then turn around, which I get it when it's obviously the opposite direction. Yeah. However, when you're that close to a city of that size, it makes sense that you're going to go take it in. Cubs game, obviously a large enough attraction. Someone had told me that Sarah Hokum had, with missing the cut on Sunday, had also gone up to Chicago for what the last day of Lollapalooza or something of that nature.
Yeah, Lollapalooza is
wrapped up on Sunday. So I know her and a couple of golfers had gone up there for that. Obviously, again, not on the way, but when you're that close, it makes perfect sense to go get the visit in when you can. And that's happened quite a bit throughout the years. So good to see our players, taking in some other things that are not just disc golf related. You got to appreciate that. All right. I don't know that I have much else except for us pulling. We got another winner to pull.
And we're going to give away Adam Hammis's Jackson Churio card.
Yes. No. Adam so graciously sponsoring the giveaway.
Yeah, no, not bloody likely. No, instead what we're going to do is we're going to give away the what kind of pack was it,
St.
Terry?
Jude charity pack.
St. Jude
and
charity
I do
pack.
not know the specifics of what are in it, but I guarantee you it is a very limited run of something. I'm trying to see if there's a St. Jude charity glow set.
Okay, so
in years past, that has been a pretty rare or small run of something, we'll say Paul and Paige related. However, charity glow. Yeah, let's figure this out for you.
Oh, I forgot that I'm Googling live on the air, which is probably not the best move to do.
It's not, but we're going to make it happen anyway.
We'll pull that right down. You never know what's going to pop up.
You were
literally Googling right on the air.
There's a St. Jude charity. Oh, wow. Wow, is this also a glow what? Is this a 7-disc set?
Is that we don't know if it's the 7-disc set, but there is something.
Or if it's 1 disc or 3 disc. No matter what, it is definitely a valuable set. Wow, this might be one of our heftier giveaways ever.
Oh, wow.
So thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It cannot be the same person that just won.
Correct. Well, we're going to...
A few minutes ago.
What number should we generate? I'm not going to resort them at all.
No, we're just going to... I say we pick the very next number.
Very next number. All right, so it's still sitting at 84, but that's not the number. We're going to hit generate, and it is 21. Terry, did you hit 21 at all this weekend?
I did. And I'm happy that I did a few times.
Knowing that you're a blackjack person. This is Dave Steger. Congratulations, Dave Steger, out of Virginia.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Maybe could even get hand delivered during Worlds. I mean,
You never
it's
know.
Virginia, so you have to live close.
Sure, Terry. Sure. So congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations, Dave. You get the St. Jude Glow Pack. I wish we gave you a little more detail on what exactly is in
Let's
it.
just say this. You're not going to be disappointed.
You will not be disappointed.
As one of the better or best Patreon giveaway sets that we've ever had. So you will not be disappointed, I promise you that.
We've given away some cool stuff.
We have, but this is up near the top, I'm guessing.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Ledgestone and Nate Heinold, for donating that to some of our Smashies.
All right. Well, if I'm going to see any of you at AM Worlds, please say hi. Excited to watch. It's going to be kind of weird just to have exclusively just the two divisions to focus on it at a World Championships. I know we've had some that happen sometimes in the past, but we were talking about this many total competitors, and we're focused on the two divisions that are there and available. I'm super excited to see. Again, we know you are the next pros within our sport, and the guys that are going to be challenging the likes of Gannon Burr and the rest of our top level competitors over the next decade or two, I'm guessing. So super excited to see.
And Tim Courts asks for a Patreon disc update. Those are all in Terry's hands right now?
They are. I gave a couple out this weekend to people that were physically in front of me and that we didn't have to bother shipping them to. The rest still need to be shipped.
Yep.
So,
but that's great that they're very close. So thank you very much, Tim, for the artwork on that.
Yes. With that, I don't think we have anything else that's crucial to talk about. If so, well, it'll have to get noted for next week. So write it down and remind us then. Enjoy the rest of the Olympics. Enjoy the Worlds, the rest of that. If you're playing somewhere this weekend, shoot well, have fun. Oh, and enjoy Idlewild. I guarantee that's going to be a good show as well. However that all goes down. That is always exciting. Lots of birdies and lots of fun to be had out there. So best of luck to all of our competitors in that event over there in Kentucky. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's Smashbox Podcast After Show 518. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.